So, what's your reaction to what Dale Vince had to say about your tenure in charge?
It's normal, isn't it? Normal things. He, like you said, he never spoke to me. Still hasn't spoke to me. So yeah, you have to take his word for it. And what was said to me and what was said publicly are two different things, as you always know in this game. And I have to be careful because there's still some legal issues to tie up. But all in all, he's made his decision. He's the boss, isn't he? So I wish him and Forest Green all the best.
Now, when you got the job, Troy, I know you felt it was a risk to take on a club which was bottom of League Two when you played at a much higher level for most of your career, and there are all sorts of difficulties about that compared to being at the higher level. Do you, looking back, now regret the fact you took it on?
No, I don't. I don't regret it. I probably should have listened to you though, mate. If I'm being totally honest, because you was telling me not to do it from the start.
I was actually, yes.
No, there's a few people telling me not to do it. But look, you have opportunities in life, and I thought this was an opportunity to go and carve my way into the game. And these opportunities in football don't come around too often, so why not take the hardest challenge? Um, I had a little bit of insight because I was in the building as well, so I'd already know the issues and the things that needed to be changed, and we tried to change that. And I think you wouldn't have saw that at surface level, but certainly around the building, we changed an awful lot of things in the 3 weeks that we was able to implement that.
Troy, hi, it's Henry. Do players have your hunger?
Oh, yeah, I think deep down they do. I think when you've had a life of comfort, which they've had for a little while, and the level of expectation hasn't been too high. I was listening to Tim Sherwood yesterday. I think what's that? Forest Green's fourth manager now in 2 years or something like that, or a year and a half. It keeps being the manager's fault, and it keeps being the coach's fault. We need to change. We need to change. But I felt fundamentally it was environmentally wrong. The players would always try and give their best. They'd always try and put their right foot forward. But if environmentally it's wrong, then surely you'll just drop your standards to that level. And I think they do have the hunger to succeed. I think they were showing that. It's really weird because everyone says I had 6 games, but it was like Christmas, so it didn't really feel that way. It just felt like it was just like game after game. So we only had our first real week of training this week, and we felt Thursday that we were bang at it and ready to go.
Sounds funny to hear that Forest Green, the environment was wrong, actually, given such green credentials. You did get criticism, as we say, for your post-match interview after you lost to Harrogate, calling out Fincati Darbo, particularly the lad who missed the penalty for Coventry last season when they were in the playoffs. And you did apologise for it afterwards, but I wonder, did you really want to apologise? Do you think you went too far? And given your time again, would you change that?
Yeah, well, you two both know me a long time. I've said a lot of wild things in my time. I only apologise when I'm wrong. The thing I was wrong for was saying that publicly. That's what I was wrong for. I already told him to his face. I'm not these, you guys know me long enough now. I'm not one of them people that say things in the press and then hide behind it. I said it to him first, made it very clear what I thought and why I thought that in a bit more detail. And the only thing I would have done differently was not said it publicly.
Sorry, mind you, it's not that dissimilar to Eric Ten Hag and what he said about Jadon Sancho not training properly, is it?
Yeah, the difference behind that is that he had foresight to say it, but knowing that he had the backing to call out the things because he was brought in to change the environment. What I was told and what happened were two different things. So it's difficult, but it's a learning curve, isn't it? We're not going to sit here and sulk. That's not who I am. I'm back to work. I've had a day and a half of sulking around the house and being miserable, and I said, right, today's the day I'm going to speak to you guys. We'll go and watch my kids play football, and I'm back to work.
Troy, when you say environmentally wrong, what is or was wrong with the environment at Forest Green?
It's look, I really want to be careful because it is a really nice place and there's some really, really good people there, really good people there. And when I say environmentally wrong, they lost 31 games last season. They've lost 16 this season. So if you look at it from the outside, environmentally, the lack of winning, the lack of ownership, and the lack of accountability is the biggest things. Again, that's not all players' fault, but fundamentally it falls on players, doesn't it? For not performing, but there's some good players there that really can play at a different level, and a couple of them that I think personally, with the right attitude change, can go and play the championship. So it's that was what I would say environmentally wrong. When people are turning up late 2-3 times a week, and that's considered okay because that's just what we do, I would say that any other line of work that would be a real issue.
Is it difficult, having played at the level that you have done, then to work with players who, with respect to them, they are at a certain level, and whether that's technically, tactically, their ability to absorb a manager's comments, whatever. What
Yeah.
did you find that difficult?
No, I did find it difficult. I found when I thought when I would drop the level, I thought, right, it's going to be a massive technical, tactical situation. They're going to struggle with it. It's actually not that now. Players are very smart. Obviously, there's a lot more, with Sky and BT, there's a lot more tactical analysis into games, so they understand a lot of things. For me, it's what really worried me was the level of basics, and this has nothing to do with the level I've played at. It's the same as if you played goals football. If you two had a game five-a-side, and Sean weren't running around like we know he does at Henry, you'd be questioning him, wouldn't you? You'd be saying, "Come on, like we got to do it." Or the game starts
Every week, Troy.
or the game starts at 5 and people turn up at 5:05. You get frustrated because it just shows a lack of respect for the other person's time, and that they're the things that really frustrate me the most. After 3 weeks, we didn't even get to do a great deal of tactical work, to be totally honest with you. It was more about putting people, their working habits right. And that was the hardest part.
Matthew says, does Troy fancy signing on at Walsall again and getting us promoted up the Saddlers? Troy, you still a player?
I think they're doing all right without me at the moment. No, look, this happened Thursday. The offers to get back playing have obviously started to roll in as well. But we have to remember that I was dropped in like the deep end, 3.5 weeks ago. So just trying to take the weekend to recalculate and figure out what's been going on, and go again from Monday. We'll be back to business, like I said earlier.
But I suppose at your age in the game, you can't really hang around. If you want to keep going as a player, you've probably got to get straight back into it.
Are you suggesting I'm old, Sean? Well,
but you have dropped down a few divisions, Troy.
Yeah, no, to be fair, and that's the thing, like I dropped down for the opportunity to coach and learn, and through whatever reason ended up being in a situation where that was probably expedited 18 months earlier than it needed to be. So to the outside world, it's like, he dropped to League Two and he can't do it anymore. It's very the opposite to that. It's very contrary to what people might think. I'm still fit and available, still very, very useful as a footballer, and we'll see the options and we'll go from there. But as you know, the media phone doesn't stop ringing as well, so we'll have to figure out what the pathway is over the next couple of days.
Troy, you've seen things in life most haven't. You've done things in life that most haven't, reading your book and having talked to you down the years. You've always had this sort of campaigning side to you. I've seen you at community events down the years, and you are passionate about it. You are genuine about that. Do you feel that, once the playing is over, and you rightly talk about still you have a usefulness as a player, and then if you get the sort of, you do management, and obviously the media door will always be open for you. But don't you think with what you've experienced in life, actually maybe not politics, but that's just going into sort of campaigning, going into the inner cities as you do. Is that part of your long-term thinking?
I Honestly, no, because it's more of a passion. I think when you start walking into that line of world, you have to start playing by the rules too much. And as you know, that's not something I do very well. I prefer to do the work I do from an activist point of view, kind of behind closed doors, because no matter what, look at Jordan Henderson, for example, currently being bashed for, things he feels passionately about, and then you start getting questioned. And when it's the flavour of the month to talk about certain things, you're okay, and when it goes the other way, you're not. So I prefer to just keep doing my work in the background. I've been fortunate enough to do speaking events around up and down the country. I'm even in at Saracens on Tuesday, having a chat with them that was already pre-planned. So yeah, I'm just probably going to just carry on being me and keep learning. I think the biggest point in life is about learning, and we're in a world now where one mistake means you're finished and you're ruined. And I've always shown, as I spoke to my mum about it yesterday, whenever I make a mistake, I come back 10 times stronger. So don't write me off just yet.
You said you'd learned quite a lot from your experiences, and I remember you writing a column in The Sun saying how you were bound to have learned from a lot of managers because you had so many at Watford. So you've taken a bit from all of them, but when you actually are in the hot seat, when you're there, when it's all down to you, were there things that surprised you? Were you shocked by how difficult it is? Or has it made you think, you know what, next time I'm in that seat, I'm going to be doing this, this and this, because I've learned all this in 6 weeks at Forest Green?
It was 3 weeks, sure. Don't give him that much credit. I didn't even get a paycheck. It's only 3 weeks.
Said, yeah.
I didn't even get to the end of the month. So, no, yeah, 100%. I think it's like the best way to describe it's like a driving test. You can do all these courses, you can do all these different people tell you do this, do that. As soon as you get on it, it's like someone just threw you in a Ferrari on the M25 and said, go drive that without crashing. So it's quite difficult to navigate. It's there's so much you have to deal with. As I spoke about it in the column in The Sun, like a lot of the players there have phoned me and spoke about certain things, and I'll keep that private for their sake. But having to deal with a lot of recruitment, understanding that my name is the pull for a lot of these people to come in, because a lot of people dropped from Championship and down, which obviously didn't want to come to the bottom of League Two of their own free will, should we say. And we had a nice conversation, explained it, and spoke about Forest Green in glowing terms. And managed to persuade him to come and join the journey. And for those players in particular, I definitely will apologise, because they came in off the strength of my name, and we didn't even get to have a game together.
Just looking at Roy Hodgson yesterday, I mean, you've crossed paths with him down the years. I mean, he's remarkable. I mean, he's sort of still passionate 50 years into management almost.
Absolutely, and why should he be? He still did a great job. I know yesterday was difficult, but other than his appearance of looking old, he's still youthful, still passionate about the way he speaks the game and the way that he coaches. And you can still see the disappointment when they go a goal down, and especially from set pieces with him and Ray. That's what they want to work towards. I think, like I say, for everything you learn and you move forward, and you're like, okay, I probably wouldn't have done that. I should have done this. And even those things where you try and baby step your way in, thinking, right, it's your first gig, you don't know it all, so listen to everyone around you. But really, you should come in and just, stamp your authority on it from day one, because that's when you're most powerful.
What's the most important thing you've learnt in life?
Think before you talk would be the obvious one. But the most important thing I've learnt in life, the reality between social media and real life. So if you logged onto social media, you would think that I've killed 8 people and I'm the biggest topic in the world football. But when the reality is, I took the kids for a walk. I went for a walk with the dogs, and I live quite a comfortable life. So yeah, that's the reality. I would say reality versus social media are 2 different things.
Just moving away from your management position and the future, and put your pundit's hat on, what did you make of Ivan Toney's comeback yesterday, your You know him reasonably
Yeah.
well.
Well, yeah. He's inevitable, wasn't he?
What
He was
did he
inevitable.
score?
Yeah, you know who's going to score. He lives for the headlines. He's got I wrote in my sub column. He's got an unerring confidence, an unwavering confidence that most footballers have it, but his is more like steely determination mixed with arrogance, mixed with just write me off at your peril. And yeah, it was obviously a nice finish. I thought total transparency. I thought he looked tired, which is normal. Normally he would drop deep, set it in the box, and then make his way into the box. I thought a few times he managed himself really well. But yeah, he'll only get bigger and better and stronger. And I think if they can keep him between now and the end of the season, they've done really well. But I keep saying it, I've said it before. I think Chelsea's the perfect landing spot for him. I really do.
Should he be number 2 to Harry Kane in the England pecking order?
Should he? Based on ability, yes. Based on obviously the lack of work he's been able to do this season, you'd have to say no. Ollie and Callum have obviously played more games, more so Ollie than Cal, to be fair. But he's certainly in the conversation, and knowing Ivan, he's going to hit the ground running, and he's going to make it very difficult for us all to to stop talking about him.
And just finally, Troy, have you ever put the ball down for a free kick, picked up a bit of foam, moved it 6 inches to the right to make the angle a little bit better, as Tony did yesterday? Pretty impressive skullduggery, I would have said.
No, it was nice. It was gamesmanship, wasn't it? It was smart. Obviously, as we always know, players try and bend the rules as much as they can without crossing the line. And he did it. He got an extra half a foot. And to be fair, it was a poor wall though, wasn't it, from the start? Hudson Odoi on the side could have potentially done a little bit more as well, but I think the keeper had a bit of a stinker, and it was just nice. And look, I think Ivan is only going to get better. I think Brentford are miles better for him being in the team, and yeah, really interested to see how it develops over the next couple of months.